All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Tammy Alvarez from the Career Winner Circle, where we empower business leaders to make a big impact and love their jobs again. I'm so glad you're here with me today on our CWC Power Shop, because we love midday on Wednesdays, giving you that extra boost to get through the week. And what we're talking about today is through the job boards. And it can be absolutely soul-crushing work. I don't know anybody who loves looking for a new job, right? I mean, tell me in the chat window for you guys that are watching live today. Has anybody ever said, oh, I need to find a new job and this is going to be so much fun? I mean, I think some people would rather shop for proctologists than have to move jobs and do the roles and do all that kind of fun stuff. Thanks, Jim. I see you're in the room. And so I want to break this down for you today in order to really, let's get real on how things really work. And then let's build new strategies that are actually going to move you forward. Because it takes just as much time to find a crappy job as it does to find a good one. So I want to give you the tools and the capability to take all of this crazy, unwind it, and start to move forward faster. So I've got a couple questions that I want you to think about. How much time are you spending on job boards right now? And how many resumes have you sent out over the past, let's say, 6 months and heard nothing back? And how much time have you spent researching keywords so that way you make sure that you've got all the perfect words that are in that resume so it all is supposed to show up and feed the beast? So by now, I'm guessing that you are spending way too much time on the job boards. You are absolutely going into the resume black hole, and you probably have a PhD in the keywords for your industry and for your role. And with all of this work, how's that working out for you? And if you're anything like 100% of my clients, this strategy sucks. And it doesn't work, and you spend so much time doing it, and you're like, and then you don't get feedback, and then your head starts to go crazy. I always say that in your head is a dark and twisted place. You just start to have all these things that are going on. So we want to stop that crazy right now. And I want to share with you why this strategy doesn't work, and then I'm going to share with you what you should be doing instead. So here's the facts as far as why this strategy absolutely does not work. So out of every job posting that's out there, only 20% will be filled by somebody who posts online if you've got 10 years or more experience. And the more experience you have, the higher level you are within the organization, the smaller that number gets. So let's say you're a director level and you've got 15 to 20 years experience, maybe 10% of those postings that you're applying to are actually going to fill those roles with someone online. Why? Well, newsflash, people, those jobs are already filled. So when you are internal, I'll tell you this, it used to happen to us all the time. So we'd have an internal posting, and we would find a candidate, either internally through the organization or through our network or whatever, but we would have somebody that we already want to hire. But HR would make us post it because it had to be open externally for so much time. And so we would throw a BS job rec together, put it online or wherever we had to do to make sure the whole world knew it, leave it open for the required 7 days, close it, say we did our due diligence, and move on with hiring the person that we wanted in the first place. And so why are you guys playing in that arena? Because that happens all the time. Another reason why this strategy sucks and it doesn't work is because out of those, let's say you've got 100 postings that you've applied to, 20 of those are actually real and going to fill, through the normal channel that you think. Well, out of those 20 requisitions, when you read them, 30% of every single one of them are total BS. They have nothing to do with the job. Yet we're trying to look at this and we're like, no wonder we get anxiety. We see this giant laundry list of all this crap. We're like, I can't do this. Whereas you start reading it and you're like, oh yeah, I got this. I can totally do this. And then you read it all and then you're like, there's no way. And why is it like this? Well, there's 3 reasons why. One is that the people who are doing the job aren't writing the job description. They're not doing it. It's being done by HR because the people who are doing the job are too busy. So they're not doing it. The second thing is they load it up with so many things that would be nice to have. So it's like, oh, someday it's a full moon and I'm wearing the color purple. It would be nice if I had somebody who could do this. And so that gets dumped in. And then HR and legal put a whole bunch of things in to make sure they can't get sued. And before you know it, this crisp job description that you could have nailed has so much superfluous things in it that you're like, there's no way I can compete. And so a lot of what you're reading is not real. It's not what they really are going to hire on. And you couple that with the fact that you wait for too close of a fit before you even submit. And so a lot of us feel like we've got to have 90% of what they're looking for before we can really compete for that role. And actually the reality is if you've got 70% of what they're looking for, you're a viable competitor. Now it's got to be the right 70%, right? If you've got all the BS stuff and none of the good stuff, then obviously that's not going to work. But I want you to think about all of the reasons why this strategy isn't playing to your favor. 20 out of 100 postings are legit. The rest are already filled. The postings you're reading have so much fiction in them, it's almost impossible to tell what they need and what they really don't. And then you're trying to hold yourself to too high a standard before you get in the game. And so those are things that everybody does and makes the mistake. And I'll share a story with you from one of my clients. So despite the fact that, I'm like, stay off those job boards, they're a waste of time, you can't help it, right? So people do spend time on them. And I had a client, very senior, he was a C-level executive. And he saw a shiny object on a job board and said, oh my God, I would be great for that role. And so on a whim, he, did his resume, redid his cover letter, just got it all perfect and submitted it. And he got a hit. It's like, oh, they reached out to him like within hours to say that they wanted to speak to him. And so long story short, he had just left a competitor and was, it's an exciting role and it was lots of opportunity for him and he could add a lot of value. So I'm going to make a very long story, and like 11 hours of interviews later, talking to like 20 people in various situations of one-on-one and group, he even had to present a presentation on his strategic objectives and how he would position their products, blah, blah, blah. As it turns out, they never intended to hire him in the first place. They had their candidate. But because he came from a competitor, they were really curious to see all the things that he knew. And because he was so eager to get that role, he gave him everything. And so 11 hours of interviews live. Now, God knows how much prep time that was, right? You're talking an hour or two prep before, and then some follow-up and your thank yous. I'm sure he spent 40 hours on this one opportunity that looked good online, and that was never his to have in the first place. And I don't want that to happen to you. And so let's talk about what should you do, right? So we know that we're spending too much time, and we know it's soul-crushing, and we know why our world is the way it is. But let's give you some tools that you can activate today to really start to move forward. So the first thing we have to realize is that the ATS systems and the job boards are here to stay. And for those of you who don't know the ATS term, it's applicant tracking system. It's the artificial intelligence that screens out all your resume stuff to make sure that, only a few actually make it for a human being to see. And so the job boards and they're never going away. And so you can use this as a tool. But what you need to do is don't look at the job boards as this is a strategy for you to land your next role, because it's not going to happen, my friend. But what it is a great opportunity to do is use it for market research. Who's hiring and when and how many and what are they paying and where are they hiring? This is a great way for you to take a holistic look at what's going on in your sector, what's going on within your role, and see who's doing what. So it's a great way to get intel on where the action is and what's happening, and see some themes in terms of what is everyone looking for, right? So you've got that 30% crap, but 70% of it's legit. And so try and find commonality within that. But it is a great way for you to get really, really smart on some really cool opportunities in your market. Now in our COVID times, we know that our geographic boundaries have spread out a little bit. A lot of companies are taking advantage of the fact that they don't just need a talent pool in their backyard. You can be anywhere. everywhere. And so you should be looking everywhere because there's tons of opportunity that you would have never even had an opportunity to compete for a year ago, right? Or a little over a year ago, where now it's greenfield and great opportunities. So the second thing I want you to remember in terms of what you can take action on today is as you're doing your research and as you're doing your market research and you're figuring out, okay, this is what's going on, you're going to see a shiny object, I guarantee it. And when you find that opportunity that you're reading and you're like, oh, I've got to apply to this because this is my thing, I know it, you get excited, go ahead and submit your resume. Do it. So get your resume in, get that cover letter in, do what you need to, but don't stop there. Because now your job gets really hard in terms of once you've submitted your resume and you're in queue, you need to do whatever it takes to get internal sponsorship for that role. So that is when you fire up your LinkedIn network and see who you know at that company or see who you know that knows somebody at that company. And you need to turn over every rock to make sure that there is a human being that you can talk to that can take your resume and walk it over, preferably to the hiring manager, but as a secondary to HR saying, I know this person submitted through our rec system, but I know this person or I know of this person, and that is how you're going to actually get traction. So don't just submit and hope. Submit and get to work and start to find the people that are inside. And a great way to, if you look and you got nobody, right? I'm like, I got nothing and there's no way I can find somebody who's within the company, then the best thing to do is look to your consulting friends, right? Because they tend to know everybody. They have different projects at different companies, and they tend to be much better connected than someone who is in a career at one company for an extended period of time. So get creative, use your personal connections, not just your work connections, and do what you need to do. And then the third thing I want you to focus on is if your resume is all about you, you're doing it wrong. Because your resume, if all it does is say me, and I'm great, no one is going to want that. Because when a hiring manager is looking to hire you, they don't care what you really do. What they want to know is, are the things that you know and are the things that you're good at going to help me get what I want? And so if that resume, once it finally lands on a human being's desk, doesn't scream out, this is what I'm going to get, and this person is going to be the person to take me where I want to go for myself, for the division, for the company, for whatever, if it's not doing that, it is going to fall flat and you're not even going to get an at-bat. Okay, so I want you to be really aware of how your resume is showing up in terms of it's a sales document that's going to help somebody see what they get when they hire you. It's not a brag sheet or your biography on all the things you've ever done in your life. So I want you to look at that resume critically and say, if my job depended on hiring for this role, and I'm reading this resume, is this the person I'm going to double down on to make sure that I get what I need and get what I want? And if it doesn't do that, then make sure that it does. And don't worry, I've got some ideas for you. The other thing is you need to realize that you are being vetted before you even know it. 100% of screeners, when they actually see your information, are not going to send you an email. They're not going to pick up the phone and talk to you. They're going to go to LinkedIn and look at your profile. And if your profile screams value and high energy and I'm in this, and it's consistent with the resume, you're going to get a call. If your resume or if your profile looks like it's got dust bunnies running through it and you haven't touched it forever and you are just not active, guess what? They're going to take a pass. So you need to realize that you are part of the conversation before you even know it. And so here's what you need to do in summary, that I'm going to give you some tools to use to help you move further and faster. So the first thing is use the job boards as a research tool, right? That's their value. And then if you do submit your resume to a shiny object, make sure that you go to hell and back to get internal sponsorship into that role. And then make sure that your resume is all about you and what you can deliver, not just all about what you've done. So that person gets excited about what they'll get when they hire you. And realize that your LinkedIn profile is absolutely the first place everyone looks before you even get a call or an email. And so I want you to, my challenge for you today and forever is to take the total amount of time that you're spending cruising the job boards today or recently and flip it. I want 25% of the time spent on job boards, and I want 75% of the time spent building your network and working on getting on the inside. You're going to move so much further and so much faster that way. So I want you, that's my challenge for you, to get out of the comfort of the job boards and get into action. But use those job boards as a tool. And to help you do all of this, in the link in this post, I've got a tool for you. And what I'm so excited about this, I just finished this up a few days ago, and it's a checklist that helps you beat the bots. And so what it's going to do on one side of the checklist, you've got everything that you need to know to make sure your resume is feeding those ATS systems all the love that they're looking for. So that way, at least you don't get eliminated. And then the second side of that checklist is everything that you need to know to have that LinkedIn profile that is going to have recruiters lining up outside just to talk to you and just dying to talk to you. So you want to make sure you get that download today, start getting in the game, and add these new techniques to your strategy. And I guarantee you, you are going to land that job so much faster. So thanks again for watching today. I hope you found this helpful. Give a thumbs up, subscribe, comment on this video. Let me know what you think. And I will see you back here next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern for your next CWC Power Shop. Have a great week. Have a great week.